You were always the safe place. The one who picked up the pieces, held the tears, made room for everyone else's chaos, pain, and uncertainty. Your arms were shelter, your voice a soft place to land. You didn't just comfort, you absorbed. You swallowed your needs, your fatigue, your grief, so others could breathe easier. But lately, even if you've never said it aloud, there's a quiet ache growing inside you. It whispers during long silences, sighs in empty rooms. It echoes when no one checks in, when you're left holding everyone's stories but no one asks how you are. There's a name for that kind of weight, invisible caregiving. And it doesn't always come with applause or appreciation. Sometimes it comes with silence, or worse, the assumption that you'll always be okay. But what happens when a strong one starts to feel unseen? What happens when the safe place begins to feel unsafe within herself? You may not have the words for it. You may just feel tired, not physically but spiritually tired, like you've been holding space for a lifetime, and suddenly there's no room left for your own voice. If this resonates, you're not alone, and you're not wrong for feeling the ache. This is where we begin, not with fixing, but with honoring the truth, that even the safest places sometimes need shelter too. There's a strange kind of loneliness that comes from being needed all the time. Not the kind where you're physically alone. You might be surrounded by people, even family, but still feel like no one sees you. Like no one notices the emotional labor you carry, quietly and consistently. It's not always dramatic. Sometimes it's the slow erosion of self that happens over decades of making space for everyone else's pain, while minimizing your own. You've listened. You've soothed. You've poured yourself out like a cup of warm tea, again and again. But somewhere along the way, you forgot what it felt like to be poured into. You may have been the parent who smoothed over the arguments, the sibling who kept the peace, the friend who always answered the late-night call, or the partner who bore the brunt of emotional storms without breaking. You've been resilient, but resilience doesn't mean invincible. And being the safe place doesn't mean you don't need safety, too. The world teaches us, especially women, especially caregivers, especially the eldest in the room, that love is sacrifice, that our worth comes from how much we give. But when giving becomes your entire identity, receiving can start to feel foreign, even uncomfortable. And yet, the soul craves being seen, not just admired for strength, but understood in softness. Many seniors, especially those who've lived decades as caregivers, now face a shift they weren't prepared for. They've moved from being the central support system to being on the margins. They're not asked for advice as often. They're not checked on the way they used to check on others. Their value has become a memory in someone else's rear view, when it should still be honored, nurtured, and held. There's also the emotional guilt. If I'm feeling this way, am I being ungrateful? If I speak up, will I burden others? If I need help, does that mean I'm no longer strong? Let me say this clearly. Needing care does not cancel your strength. Asking to be seen does not make you needy. Wanting space held for you doesn't mean you've failed. It means you're human. You may not want to confront the silence, but it's there. In the moments when the phone stays quiet, when no one notices your absence, when you laugh at everyone's jokes, but wonder if anyone remembers the last time you were asked how you were really doing. These experiences don't make you bitter. They make you honest. And honesty is sacred. So let's name the truth. You are the safe place. But you deserve to be held too. You are not here solely to serve as everyone's anchor while you slowly drift into invisibility. Your worth is not transactional. Your existence isn't based on how many burdens you carry. You were born worthy, long before the world placed expectations on your back. You were allowed to crave softness, to long for someone to sit beside you and say, you don't have to be strong right now. You just have to be. Let me tell you about Grace. Grace is 72 years old. If you asked her family, they'd describe her as the rock, the steady one, the matriarch, the person who never lets anyone down. For most of her life, that was true. She raised 3 children, supported a husband through illness, and was the first to show up when a neighbor was grieving or a friend's child needed care. She didn't complain. She just did what had to be done. Even now, she cooks meals for her adult children when they visit. She remembers birthdays. She mails handwritten notes. She's the glue that holds the pieces together. But lately, that glue has started to crack. It started small. One day, she realized no one asked how her doctor appointment went. Another day, she canceled a lunch, and no one followed up. When she had a minor fall in the kitchen, nothing serious, just a bruise, she debated calling anyone. Not because she didn't need help, but because she didn't want to feel like a burden. Grace keeps her feelings mostly to herself. She smiles in photos. She listens to everyone's stories. But late at night, when the house is still, she feels it, that hollow ache. The ache of being there for everyone and no longer knowing if anyone is there for her. She told me once, in a moment of rare honesty, "I think people just assume I'm fine because I always have been. But sometimes I want someone to ask if I'm okay, and really mean it." What Grace is describing isn't self-pity. It's a quiet need for reciprocity, for recognition. The sad irony is, she's not alone in feeling alone. So many people, especially in their later years, carry the emotional scars of decades of showing up without ever being asked what they needed in return. Grace isn't looking for grand gestures. She doesn't want pity. She just wants to feel like her presence matters, even when she's not giving something. She wants someone to make her a cup of tea for once, to say, "Sid, I've got this," to check in just because. These may sound like small things, but to someone who's spent a lifetime holding space for others, they're everything. Grace still shows up because that's who she is. But she's learning, slowly, to let herself be seen, to speak a little softer, to answer honestly when someone asks, "How are you?" Because even safe places deserve rest. Even rocks need warmth. If you've spent most of your life being the safe place, the quiet strength, the emotional backbone, I want you to hear this. You still deserve to be seen, to be held, to be asked, "How are you?" without needing to earn that question through sacrifice. There is no shame in feeling weary. There is no weakness in wanting comfort. And there is profound courage in finally naming what you need. The world may not always reflect your worth back to you, but that doesn't mean it's gone. Your value was never in what you did. It was always in who you are. Let this be your reminder. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to need. You are allowed to be more than the strong one. And if no one else says it today, let me be the one who does. Thank you for everything you've carried. It matters. You matter. Maybe it's time someone made space for you. And maybe, just maybe, that space begins here. And if someone like Grace held you through the storm, tell them. Or tell us. Type it in the comments. I see you. I appreciate you. Let's flood this space with honor for all the quiet giants who gave so much and asked so little. I'd love to hear from you. Has this echoed your journey? Have you lived as the shelter, the strength, the one others leaned on, while carrying your own burdens in silence? This space was made for voices like yours. Type your story in the comments, even if it's just a few lines. Or simply write, "I was the safe place." That alone speaks volumes. And if someone once showed up for you, a grace, a quiet strength in your own storm, honor them too. Write their name in the comments. Say thank you. Let them know you saw them and you haven't forgotten. If these quiet reminders speak to your soul, subscribe. We're building something sacred here, one reflection at a time. A space for healing, dignity, and finally being seen in your senior years. Rest when you need to. Speak when you're ready. And remember, the next reflection will be here, waiting for you, just like this one did. Because your voice still matters. Until we meet again, take gentle care of the parts of you that rarely ask for anything, the quiet, steady parts that hold so much. And you, dear soul, you're still worth showing up for.